And what is up, guys? Welcome to Geekly. We're back here on WMSC Upper Montclair. It is top of the hour here, people. Obviously, last week, if you didn't miss... What is that? That noise. What is that?
Comes from your phone?
No, it's not coming from my phone.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's
That's weird.
weird. We'll hopefully find out what that noise is. It's hopefully not a ghost, but who knows? We're not getting spooky here, not yet in October. But can you turn on the lights? Like I can't see anything. But oh my gosh, that's too bright. But yeah, today on Geekly we have the full 3 hours. We're back with 3 hours. It's nice to be back because last week I had my show preempted by the March Major Madness, which was fun. I got to talk a little bit about Avengers Endgame. But today, on this very special show, since I think this is the 8th show officially. I don't know. I'm not counting. But obviously, we're going to do a 80's special. We're going to be doing a double episode of The Tribe Has Spoken, which there were 2 episodes of Survivor Edge of Extinction last Wednesday, and we'll go into the preview for next week's Survivor episode, which is really going to be really interesting as well. We're going to be talking about MCU Road to Endgame Part 2. Yes, Part 2 indeed. I'm going to be doing this as a weekly sort of thing for the Endgame. And for those, I'm not feeling so hot, so if I'm coughing a little bit, that's because of that. But, obviously, we're going to talk about Batman 1989 and Superman Lives. Yes, Superman Lives. And we're going to do the Geek Pulse. And after that, we'll do the 80's film overview. And we're going to get into the horror meltdown. And after that, we'll get into why Clue is the best board game movie. Because Clue, the movie, is a really interesting board game movie. It's probably the closest to the board game. I'm being double meta right there. And I'm also gonna hopefully during that time, my friend Alex Centeno will come on the show and we'll be talking about pop culture of the 1980s, TV shows, movies, and all that stuff. So let's get into it. Let's get into the geek news. But before all that, we have to talk about the weather and also international news. Today, the weather is still pretty chilly. It's still pretty chilly up here at Montclair State University. It is currently 43 degrees and the high will be 47. The low will be 30. It is partly cloudy today. I don't know what tomorrow's supposed to be a little bit chillier, but I'm going to pull up the news for a second. I'm just looking at my phone for a second to pull up the news. That's it. So obviously AJ knows this. AJ's in the studio with me.
What up? What do I know?
The news.
I do know the news. I know it all.
So obviously, I just want to say something. Like, the backlash of questions followed the dismissal of the Jesse Smollett case. I feel this, like, I'm reading from AP News. Prosecutors still instant that Jesse Smollett faked a racist anti-gay attack on himself in hopes of that the attention would advance his acting career. I feel that's very spiteful, but that's obviously it for the news because we have to get into more hopeful things about fun stuff. Like, obviously we have to talk about the Survivor Edge of Extinction, which has been going so well so far. It's so good. I didn't think it would be as good, but obviously, for those not keeping up with Survivor Edge of Extinction is the 38th season of Survivor, and Rick, on the last episode, for those who did not catch up, Rick got voted out during the last time, and he's now an outcast on the Edge of Extinction with Reem, Chris, Keith, and Aubrey, Aubrey, oh yeah. So obviously, during the Edge of Extinction show, we had a double episode last week of Survivor, which was really fun to have a double episode of Survivor. That's always fun. So, during that show, we got to have we got to find out more about what Edge of Extinction is actually like. It's kind of like the Outcast twist from Survivor Pearl Islands. The Outcast twist, for those who did not know, is just these outcasts, like, who were still playing the game, but they ate the same, they didn't get much, they were treated like the same gameplay as like Survivor, but they weren't in the game exactly until they were at a challenge. That's it. So, obviously, okay, I'm just taking a quick breath. During the episode of Survivor, Rick got the extra vote, which he gave to Aubrey, which I felt was really cool. I felt that was really cool and really good of him, for him to do something like that, and really understanding. And just like, and then during that same episode, basically we got the fact that Aubrey was voted out with an extra vote and an immunity idol in her pocket, which was a JT level blindside, which she said in the episode that was like a JT level blindside. I did not expect that coming. And we have to walk through how each tribe is doing exactly. But the Lesu is not doing as well as they thought they would be doing. Lesu lost one member, and they actually won an immunity challenge, which is really funny, because I kind of like Lesu because they're like the band of like misfits. They don't exactly win, but they do win sometimes, and they're not exactly the strongest people. That's what I find interesting about it. So Manu was broken up into two separate tribes, and that was really interesting, because the only original member from that tribe was Wendy. And Wendy, oh boy. Wendy is like a walking anime character. It's so funny to watch her. She plays the game like a wild card. Like, you know those characters that, like the show, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? There's one episode of it where I think Charlie Day's character dressed up like a business oil tycoon, and he said, "I'm the wild card," and jumped out of the car. That's the whole gameplay of Wendy. She's the wild card. She's willing to do anything if it means just messing up her own game, because it just thinks it's funny. I think that's a really interesting form of gameplay in Survivor. I don't think we've ever seen that before, and I don't think we ever will. But we're going to take a quick break here at WMSC Upper Montclair, and we'll be back after these
Major key alert! Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair News.
Jersey, one, Jersey, one, Jersey, one, Jersey, one.
Hey guys, we're back here at Geeky. Welcome back. That was a quick break because I had to gather my thoughts on Survivor stuff. Because Survivor is, for those who don't know, is a fairly complex show. It's not like you can't jump into it like midway through the season and get into the characters and all that stuff. I don't think it's really a good idea for that. But speaking of that, we have to talk about the double episode was to me like an overall better pacing. I think the double episodes are better. I'm not saying this to be mean or anything like that. I just think the double episodes, I think they need to do them a lot more. And it's just the fact that I feel like that overall the pacing of it is a lot better with the double episodes, and I feel like the longer episodes are more interesting. And it's not the fact that I don't like the slower episodes. It's just the fact that I don't think it's as interesting as it could be. And to me, like when I sat down to watch this season, and then while I'm watching that, while I'm watching this new season, I'm going back and watching older seasons, which is really interesting. For those who do not know, you're listening to Geekly, which is the geekiest show on the radio. To me, like, when I sat down to watch the older episodes, the pacing of it was, like, I talk in film terms. Film terms means, pacing means a speed of the movie, a speed of a TV show, means how fast or how slow the show is going. And to me, like, Edge of Extinction is, like, not good with its pacing. It's not bad. It's like, it's decent. It's like decent. It's nothing amazing is going on and nothing bad is going on. I think that's what I have problems with. It's just the fact that, to me, I think there has to be a lot more going on. And I think that's the main problem with this season so far. It's not the fact that I don't like it. It's not the fact that I don't respect it. It's not that. It's just the fact that I feel it's not as well done as it should be. And obviously, I feel that because, to me, the pacing of it needs to be a lot better. Like, okay. So obviously, for those who do not know, Edge of Extinction, I kind of see it like this. The Edge of Extinction twist is like sort of like a version of like being like the characters being voted, outcasts being voted out, but still in the game. It's kind of like Exile Island mixed with like Redemption Island, mixed with the Outcast twist from Pearl Islands. And I think that's the best way to explain it. So just think of it like a sort of like resting place until like they get back into the gameplay. They get back into the game with a challenge. And I feel like that's what I think is going to happen. And that's what I like about this show, is just like sometimes you can guess what's going to happen, sometimes you can't. And to me, that's more interesting than anything. And we have to talk about Lauren and Kelly. So for those who do not know, Kelly Wentworth and Lauren are sticking together. But the main thing that I see in them is the fact that Lauren and Kelly both have immunity idols, which it doesn't terrify me. It's just like Lauren's playing a good game. And I feel like this is, at first I didn't like how she was playing it, but now I'm just like, she's more sneaky. I think for me, like, my problem is the fact that Lauren and Kelly are playing the same game. And I think if it comes to those two at the end of the game, and like with War Dog or something like that, I think the main thing they're going to have problems with is the fact that War Dog played such a hard game, and it was more like out in the open, and I feel like this is what's going to happen at the merge. He's going to get voted out. I feel like this is what's going to happen. We're already on, I think, day 17 or something like that. I don't know exactly. But we're pretty far into the game. And I think already there are some things that there's some players that I think are going to go far, and there's some players I'm like, they're not going to go far. I don't think they're going to go far at all. And I feel like this is what's going to happen in next week's episode. To me, this is what's going to happen. It's going to go like this. I don't think Reem is going to win the challenge. I think it's either going to be a draw between Keith, Chris, or like Aubrey. It's going to be between those three. I wish it was Rick, but I don't think Rick can win that challenge. Watch me eat my words later on tonight's episode, because that's what's going to happen. Watch me eat my words and say that's not going to happen. It's just going to be like, oh, okay, so that happened. So basically, to me, like, that's just my assumption, and that's what I think. And obviously, I just feel like there's going to be so many interesting things going on in this episode. Switching, like, we have to, like, to me, like, Survivor is a very good game, but I have to catch my breath. Obviously, to me, like, Survivor is a really good game, and it's really interesting. But we'll be back after this message and a song, because I really need. So we'll be back. That was Bambi by Hippocampus. That's a really interesting name for a band. We're back here at Geekly. Welcome back. We're here at WMC Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Yes, it is time. Even though I have to give my closing thoughts, I think Survivor Edge of Extinction is going to be an interesting season. Not bad, but not as good. But we have to get to something even more spectacular, which is the MCU Road to Endgame Part 2. For those who did not catch up for those who were not here last week, or because it was a shorter episode, I did a redo on, I did a re-review on the first 4 movies of the Avengers, first 4 movies of Phase 1. Now we're getting to the first half, the closing half of Phase 1, and the beginning of Phase 2. Yes, we're going to talk about Captain America, the First Avenger, the Avengers, Iron Man 3, and Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Oh, yes, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. For those, we're going to get into Captain America, the First Avenger first. But for those who do not catch up, Marvel, basically, the MCU it's the MCU. But we have to get into what my thoughts on Captain America, the First Avenger, because Captain America, the First Avenger is a really interesting film when you think about it. It's a World War II movie, but it's a superhero movie. And to me, like, it perfectly encapsulates the feeling of those early, like, World War II comic books of, like, Captain America and, like, blah, blah. Captain America, like, very patriotic, very much for World War II, during the time of World War II, which was really cool at that period of time. And I think this was directed by the guy who directed Rocket Man, not the Rocketeer, the Rocketeer. For those who do not know, The Rocketeer is a movie from 1990s, I believe. I'd have to look that up. But The Rocketeer is a movie that's sort of based off a public domain thing, but it's kind of complex. So basically the director of that movie directed Captain America, the First Avenger, which is a really well done movie. It's really well done. And it has a lot of great moments. It has the reveal of Red Skull, which I feel like is one of the most interesting characters. One of the most underused villains until a certain movie. And I feel like he's very interesting when you think about it. Because I don't think anybody would ever say, like Red Skull is, like, a very compelling villain. He's, like, okay. Like, on the scale of MCU villains, he's, like, just okay. He's not great, but he's still partially decent. Not, like, nothing mind-blowing. Just interesting enough. Just interesting enough. I feel like that's the thing. But, for me, it's like Captain America, the First Avenger is, like, I haven't watched it recently in a while. Yeah, I know I say that, but I'm like, I've seen all the Marvel movies more than once. So more than once, to me, is just like, it's enough to get me like, okay, I understand what the movie's like. Captain America, the First Avenger, to me, from what I remember, like, I know people will be like on the radio, people will be yelling at the radio, being like, you didn't watch it beforehand. I'm like, I don't need to. I basically know the whole movie by the back of my hand. I don't need to watch, like to me, like people are like, oh, I'm doing a whole MCU rewatch. I'm like, I just need to watch a catch-up video. That's it. Like, I just need to freshen up my memory. That's it. I don't need to watch, like, a whole, like, all the Marvel movies, because I've seen all of them. I've seen all of them, basically. I'm caught up. I am all caught up. But Captain America, the First Avenger, does stuff really well, and it does have a few problems here and there with pacing, and a little bit of story feeling a little bit, like, two-dimensional at times, not fully, like, interesting enough. But the stuff with Peggy Carter is great. The stuff with Tony Stark's father, that's really interesting in my opinion. The Howling Commandos, that stuff is really interesting. To me, like, the whole movie's an interesting film. It's like a 7 out of 10. From what I remember. It is a good movie. It really is. And it has a lot of good things I like about it. But when you stay for the end credit scene, for those who did not see this movie in theaters, I saw this movie in theaters. Stay till the end credits. We got a teaser trailer for the first Avengers movie. And that made me so happy at the time. I'm just like, this is awesome. This is the pinnacle of, like, what Marvel can do. And I like, a couple of months later, We got the first Avengers full trailer during, I think, around Super Bowl. No, around Thanksgiving, and then the second trailer came out around the Super Bowl, like a Super Bowl spot. I think. Yeah, it was a Super Bowl trailer. It was, and they had the song "We're in This Together Now" by 9 Inch Nails. I feel like that. I feel like The Avengers is just a 9 out of 10 film. It's great. It's so awesome. It's so well done. And it has a lot of good things that I like about it. And to me, like, The Avengers overall, like, the pacing, the story, the speed, and everything about it is just so well done. And to me, it's just like, when I sat down to think about, like, why do I like Avengers? Why do I like the first Avengers movie? And then the second one is just, I'll get into that. But I'll get into that next week. But I think when I sat down to think about it, it's just, to me, like, I don't think people understand how much I really love the first Avengers movie. I saw the first Avengers movie at opening night in midnight, at the midnight premiere at Garden State Plaza. I had to force my dad to buy tickets. I had to get my dad to buy tickets for that evening. And I got a Captain America shield. It was really awesome. A guy ran into the theater chanted Avengers, and it was like the coolest thing ever. Next day I had to go to school, and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm so tired. I didn't like being there. They said to me, Trevor, you look terrible. I'm like, yeah, I know. And they said to me, how was the movie? And I'm like, totally worth it. To me, if I say something like totally worth it, that just answers everything, in my opinion. It does. But in my sense, like, I just find that so funny that I just walked into a movie and just like, yeah, that was good. That was really awesome. And then you get to Iron Man 3. Now we're going to say something first. Now to me, like, the Avengers obviously closed with the Thanos thing, which was amazing at the time. We thought he was going to be the villain for Avengers 2, and we didn't know. Oh boy. But to me, like, Avengers is obviously a 9 out of 10. The end credit scene just sets up everything. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with Endgame. And I'll say more about that when I do my Endgame something like that. But to me, when we saw the first trailer to Iron Man 3, which I feel like Iron Man 3, oh boy, Iron Man 3. I don't know how I feel about this movie. I feel like there's a lot of things that you can say about the movie. There's a lot of good things you can say about the movie, and there's a lot of bad things you can say about the movie. There really is a lot of bad things you can say.
That wasn't country enough.
But to me, like, I feel like the problem is the trailer. The trailer just I feel like I'm pulling up the trailer right now. The trailer dishyped everything. It did. I've never seen it more, like, where it just hyped up so much, and she said, this is going to be the Mandarin, this is going to be this. I'm like, really? Really? You're going to do the Mandarin? You're going to do the Mandarin? And it's like, this is what we saw.
I hope I can.
Like we heard this voice.
Honestly,
like,
there's 100 people who want to kill me.
Like, we thought that this was going to be the Mandarin movie. We thought this was going to be Extremists. And we got a movie that was totally different than we thought. For those who did not know or did not see this Iron Man 3, I have a lot of things to say. I have a lot of things to get off my chest about Iron Man 3. But before all that, we're going to take a quick break here at WMSC Upper Montclair on Geekly, the geekiest show in the. And we're back here at Geekly. Welcome back to Geekly. I'm your host, Trevor. We're going to get into Iron Man 3. Now, before I say anything, before I get my thoughts in, this is my own opinion. This is not WMSC's opinion. This is my own fanboyish thoughts on Iron Man 3. Now, we have to talk, before we get into anything, we have to say, the trailer for Iron Man 3 hyped it. I think that's the problem with it. And to me, thinking about the movie and thinking about everything, I think the problem with the movie was it was so hyped up as this is the final conclusion. We're going to see Mandarin. We're going to see this character. And the storylines they were pulling from was the Extremist storyline, which is an amazing comic storyline for those who do not read. It's basically about Tony Stark creating this armor that is like links to him, and it's all of this really cool stuff. And to me, I like the idea, but this is a huge but. This is like, to me, it had so many things wrong with it when you first watch the movie. And it's just like, when you first, like, think back. When you first watched Iron Man 3, was it very, like, interesting at points? I think that's the problem with it. I think it had the problem of, like, I don't think it knew that it was not as good as it said it was. And I think that's what the problem was. And people say, and to me, like, when I watch the movie now, I'm just like, the main problem with it is that it's just, it has that problem of, like, it doesn't understand the fact that doesn't see, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Basically, the main problem with Iron Man 3 is the fact that the Mandarin twist comes out of left field. It does. It does. The movie hypes like, I'm thinking about his name, Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin, as like this ultimate villain for Iron Man, the ultimate antagonist. For those who did not watch the movie, spoilers coming in 3, 2, 1. Okay, basically, for those who did not watch the movie, Guy Pearce, the guy you thought was like Adrian, whatever his name was, I think he's a very forgettable character. And then they throw in this Mandarin twist, and they say, oh yeah, he was manipulating Trevor, whatever. Yeah, the main character, the Mandarin's real name is Trevor, which I'm like, you guys, no, why are you doing this to me? Oh my gosh, you're doing this to me again. You're doing this to me, why? And I'm just like, he was like an English actor, and like the whole joke of it, like, they played it off as a joke. And I don't think that was a really intelligent thing to do. Shane Black, you did a fantastic job with making Iron Man understand that he's more than the armor. But the problem is you brought in this dumb twist of Mandarin not being the Mandarin. And you hyped up in the trailers, like the marketing team, hyped up in the trailers that the fact that you got the Mandarin being like this ultimate evil for Iron Man. And it's just stupid. It's really pointless in my opinion. It was really pointless. Like the trailers hyped this whole thing up of how the Mandarin's gonna be Ben Kingsley and how it's gonna be really awesome, and like all these lines of like, you'll never see it coming, or like something like that. I'm like, this is the problem with it, and this is the main problem with it. The movie has a 6 out of 10. It's a 5 out of 10, almost a 6, almost a 5. To me, it has so many things wrong with it. So many things wrong with it. Because to me, when I watch it, I'm just like, you had a great story there, but you just did things that were not good. You did things that were not working for the character, and you said those work, that works, and it just says to me a lot. It says to me so much, and it just drives me nuts. I feel like that's my main problem with Iron Man 3. And to me, like, for people who are going to say, oh, I watched Iron Man 3 and it's fantastic, I'm like, it's like saying, like, I have to think for it. So to me, basically Iron Man 3 is like a 6 or a 5. I don't have it like, I have it in the middle. To me, it's a middle road movie that doesn't know what it wants. I think it's worse. Iron Man 2 is just a discombobulated mess. Iron Man 3 is more of like, it doesn't know what to do. And I feel like that was the main problem with it. It didn't know what to do. And if I watch a movie as a filmmaker, I don't want to see a movie that doesn't know what it wants to do. That's my main problem with it. And it's just like people say to me, oh, but they hyped it up. I'm like, yes, they did hype it up. And that was the main problem with it. If you hype up a movie and say that this is going to be the villain of the movie, you're going to hype it up as the villain. You're not going to have a sudden twist at the movie, be like, oh no, it's not this villain, it's the Guy Pearce character. I'm like, what are you talking about? That didn't make any sense. It didn't. It doesn't make sense. to cool things down a little bit, I just like, to me that shocks me. It doesn't shock me because to me, like, it just wasn't a great decision on their part. It was one of the few decisions that I don't agree with. It's not a great decision, but we have to get into something that's a little bit more awesome, a little bit more palatable, I guess you could say. A little, not that, but the best movie of all time for Marvel, which I think is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This movie, to me, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is like a 10 out of 10. Avengers is like a 9 out of 10 for one reason. It has pacing problems. That's it. It has pacing problems. Nothing else. But to me, Captain America: Winter Soldier is like a beast of a machine. It doesn't stop. It's like relentless. And Joe and Anthony Russo, this was their first Captain America film. They came from Community. People were like, "Oh, comedy directors can't do action." Like, and I watched the movie, and I'm like, this movie is single-handedly the best Marvel movie I've ever seen in my life. And this is my opinion. This is not WMC's opinion. To me, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is like a breath of like life into the Captain America franchise. Like how Captain America: The First Avenger was like a 7 out of 10. Captain America: Winter Soldier is like a 10 out of 10. I've seen this movie I think I've seen the movie 6 or 7 times. That's how good a movie is. If you can see a movie more than once and watch it 7 times and being like, this movie's still awesome, it's awesome. It just shows that I loved Captain America: The Winter Soldier. To me, it has perfect pacing, it has perfect action, and it's everything that I wanted in a Marvel movie. At the time, I didn't think it was like the best Marvel movie. I thought it was just decent. But now looking back, it's probably one of the best Marvel movies because it does 2 things right. Oh boy, the 2 things. Falcon is actually done right and proper. It's not just thrown in there as like a throwaway character. He's not. He's actually part of the reason why the film works. The other reason why the film works is because the story is so interesting. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers because this movie is so awesome, and I love this movie. I love Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It's like me and Alex both agree. If he was here, it's both of our number 1 Marvel movies because of so many reasons. It handles action perfectly. It actually understands what makes these characters work. Unlike Iron Man 3, which I'm like, no, going back to Iron Man 3. No going back. Only forward. Okay. Basically, to me, when I saw Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I saw it at Ridgefield Park on opening night. This was back before it was an AMC. I think it was a Starplex Cinemas. Yeah. And to me, it was like a really cool theater, had really good seats and all that stuff. And to me, it was like really nice. But I saw the movie there, and it was amazing. I loved every second of it. I didn't realize at the time it was probably going to be one of the best Marvel movies ever. It was probably going to go down for me as one of the best. And not as just like, not as like something that's like bad. It's just something that's like amazingly well done. And that's what I like about it. To me, that's what I like about it. And obviously, what I think about it is just when I sat down to think about it, I'm just like, this film, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, is so well done that I think the Russo brothers got the chance to do Civil War because of that, because of how interesting and different it was. And it has one of the best twists, and Iron Man 3 had the worst twist. Captain America: The Winter Soldier had the best twist. It did. I'm of the belief that this was the main problem with Iron Man 3. I think the twist came out of nowhere. The twist in Captain America: Winter Soldier came out of nowhere, but it was like, that's a good twist. That's really good. To me, it was just like, I'm like, I didn't think of that. I'm like, if a comic book fan Like, let's say a normal comic book fan saw Captain America Winter Soldier, and they said, I did not think of that. I'm like, oh, shoot. It's like, shoot. But, obviously, when I sat down, when I sat down to think about, like, how the movie works, it's just, like, so cool, in my opinion. It is. It is one of the coolest movies. Captain America the Winter Soldier, to me, is just, like, a great film about what happens when Captain America is pushed to a moral compass, and I like that. That's, to me, is more interesting than anything. It's more interesting. So we're gonna take a quick break here at WMSC Upper Montclair. And we're back here at WMSC Upper Montclair. We're back here at Geekly. Welcome back. That was just a quick break because I had to gather my thoughts. So, obviously next week we'll be towards the end of phase 2, and we're going to close out phase 2, and then we're starting to get into phase 3. Hopefully by next week. Hopefully in 2 weeks we'll have phase 3. And then after that, I'm saving one for a certain show, but that will be more interesting. I will be talking about that, but obviously the next topic is a quick topic because I feel like this is an interesting show. Even though I'm not talking about 80s stuff, it's still the 80s show. But to me, I barely touched anything that's 80s. I know it's weird. I'm talking more modern and current stuff. But where's the 80s stuff? Where's the 80s? Obviously today I'm wearing my clown shirt, which I don't know if I can say the full title, but it is an awesome t-shirt. Obviously, for those who do not know, Michael Keaton was not before being the Vulture, he was Batman in 1989, Batman, which I recently rewatched a couple months ago, and I remember movies easily. People say, how can you remember stuff so easily? Well, to me, it's a lot easier when you know a lot. So, obviously, Batman 89, and we're going to talk about Superman Lives. For those who do not know, Superman Lives is the canceled Nicolas Cage Superman movie. Yes, there was an actual movie starring Nick Cage as Superman, possibly, directed by Tim Burton. And it is a really funny story, and it's really interesting. I'm just gonna go over rough details of it because I don't want to go into like the full breakdown of like what happened and all that stuff because it's more I know rough details here and there, and just that's it. But let's get into Batman 89. Since today is the 80 special, and since today it's like a bit slower week on Geek News and it's not much happening. We're gonna talk, like, to me, like, Batman 89 is probably the most interesting Batman. It's not bad, it's not great. It's like the introduction to what a Batman movie should be like. And to me, like, that's why I think Batman 89 is like a decent start. And I feel like that's what the best way to say it is, like, in this modern era of getting Batman movie, of having Dark Knight, the other, like, Batman Forever, oh boy, Batman and Robin, oh boy, Batman and, like, the Dark Knight, the Batman Begins, the Nolan trilogy, and, like, the, hopefully upcoming Batman reboot, sequel, or whatever it's gonna be called. I don't know what it's gonna be called. But to me, in this age of understanding Batman, I feel like when you go back and rewatch the, Batman 89, I saw a recent review of, like, High Top Films, which is a YouTube channel. He said it's not a good film. I'm like, I don't agree with that. To me, like, Batman 89 is like a starter Batman film. It's not great because I don't think they were allowed to do everything that they wanted to do in the movie. And it does hinder a lot because of the technology at the time. And I feel like the main thing when people say, oh, Batman 89 is not a good film, or it's just not as interesting as it should be, I'm like, listen. Like, let's say, if you were making a movie, like a Batman movie, in the 80s, like late 80s, you wouldn't have all the technology, you wouldn't have the ability to add effects, add really good practical effects. It'd be very hard to do a Batman movie. And I think that's what, when I saw the review, I'm just like, yeah, I agree with most of your points. But, like, to me, like, you have to think of the times as well. Like, the time that Batman 89 was filmed in, it was not an easy thing to get a comic book movie off the ground. Let alone a movie about Batman. Batman, the joke? Like, he's a joke. Like, I think, like, to put you in the mindset of Batman 89, people didn't want Michael Keaton as Batman. They didn't. They thought he was too nice. They thought he was too... He recently did a movie before Batman, which was Mr. Mom. And people wrote into Warner Bros. Saying, I'm not going to watch this movie because Mr. Mom is going to be the head. He's going to be Bruce Wayne Batman. I'm like, there were still fans on the internet. There were still fans who just said, writing an angry letter. And it's just like, to me, like, I feel like Michael Keaton did pull off a decent Bruce Wayne and Batman. It's nothing magical, it's nothing bad, it's just decent. Overall, it's like a starter. And that's the same thing I say about Adam West. He's like a kid introduction to Batman. To basically explain to people, I love, like, I'm gonna get into Batman, but to me, Batman 89 is like a film that's really fun, but it has a lot of dark meanings to it, and it takes more from the Batman Neil Adams run, which, for those who do not know, Batman Neil Adams was more dark, more noir, more about creating this gothic feeling of Batman. And to me, like, Tim Burton directed the movie so well, and I sat there and I'm like, I don't know why people have so many problems with this movie. It's not the fact that it's bad, it's the fact that it's part of its time. And like, let's say, like, to me, like, I love Batman 89. I think it's like a solid, like 8 out of 10 movie. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just decent. It's decent looking. It's well shot. It's well done. And it's everything that I wanted to see in a Batman movie if I was in that period of time. Now, we live in this modern era of, like, we have superhero movies. We have the chance to see Superman with Batman. We have the chance to see Superman with Batman. We got the Nolanverse, which is the most smart version of Batman, which I still think, I in my head, I do like the Nolanverse, but at the same time, I don't like it. I don't like the Batman from that universe, because to me, he's not comic book. He's not the comic book Batman. He doesn't fight like Batman. He fights very stiff. And people are like, oh, how does Batman fight? I'm like, imagine the Arkham games, the Batman Arkham games. He fights like that. He fights like he can take on 10. He can basically go after a couple guys at once. And to me, like, when I see, like, when Batman 89 came out, they couldn't do like complex fight choreography because the suit was so stiff, and he couldn't like move his neck. He had to move it like his whole body. Like, for those listening, I'm doing a demonstration of like how he's like moving his body. Like, he had to move like this. Like, he had to move like with the camera, and it was really crazy for that time, because I don't think they thought of it like, oh, it's very movable or it's very breathable. The suits, like, people say, oh, but the Batman suit, it doesn't look like Batman. I'm like, I feel like my main problem with the film is just the fact of the pacing of it is not as good. It has a slow pace to it, and it's just slow and build, and it's good, but it's just like, if you're not used to that building tension of like, the Joker doesn't come in until halfway through the movie. He doesn't come in until halfway through the movie. And people are like, he comes in halfway. I'm like, yeah, he does. But you have to think about, like, at the time, audiences weren't interested in like having like a whole comic book movie, because during that period of time, like, you have to think for a fact, comic book movies weren't that profitable. They weren't profitable. I can't say the words today. I'm very like. But to me, like, I kind of like the idea that during this period of time, we also had more like interesting things going on. So after that Batman success, they said, what can we do next? Tim Burton said, there's supposedly three ideas that were on the table. There was this idea of doing a Superman movie, and with Brainiac as the villain, I forget. Oh my gosh, the voice cast. I don't remember off the top of my head because I would have to pull it up. But the cast, it is so interesting to look at the cast, the supposed cast for Superman Lives. So obviously, Superman Lives. Oh boy. Superman Lives is a very interesting movie. Like Batman '89, it takes a lot of liberties with the source material, and it does. And it's a lot of things that I'm just like, when I heard about the script, I'm like, oh boy, I heard about it. I'm just like, I read some of it and I saw the documentary for What Happened in Death for Superman Lives. So Tim Burton was supposedly going to do it, and it was first given to Kevin Smith. He wrote a draft of it, and there was going to be like a spider thing, a spider Brainiac. There was going to be a scene where he fights a polar bear. It was just all these weird things like thrown in. I don't know the whole story of it, but like to give you an idea, it'd probably be one of the weirdest movies to go down in history, even weirder than any other comic book movie. I feel like it'd be like, did you watch Superman Lives? Like, did you watch it? Like, I can't believe that movie exists, man. It's like crazy. And that's what it would be like. It would be like all this underground talk of like this movie, of like Superman Lives, and like what I think would happen if the movie did get made. It wouldn't have made a lot of money, and it probably would have been forced to DVD. That's what would have happened. I think it would have been the same boat as Superman Returns. It wouldn't make a profit, and I don't think it would have been as interesting as they thought it would be. So obviously, in that sense, like, why even make a movie? So the cast supposedly was going to be, I think off the top of my head, it was going to be Nicolas Cage as Superman. Just let that sink in for a second. Nicolas Cage as Superman. Like, that just sounds so funny. Like, just thinking about it now. Like, all his facial expressions, everything about Nicolas Cage is Nick Cage. And just him doing Superman is like, I'm Nick Cage. I'm doing Superman. And it's just like, oh my. It would be like the funniest thing to watch, but you'd also feel really bad because you're just like, oh, he's probably a super fan. He probably really likes the character. I'm like, I really do. And I think he named his kid like Clark Kent or something like that. I don't know. But that would just be an interesting movie. And supposedly Chris Rock was going to be a quippy like side character or something like that. I have to pull this. Basically the cast for this movie would have been something that you wouldn't believe. Like, in my head, I think off the top of my head it was going to be Sandra Bullock. Like, I don't know. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was going to be like the craziest thing ever. It was going to be like Nicolas Cage, I forget who else. It was going to have a polar bear fight scene. And it was going to have Brainiac in the movie. Yeah, it was going to have Brainiac in the movie. It was going to have a scene where the characters would have been directed by Tim Burton, produced by John Peters. It would feature Brainiac, Lex Luthor, and Doomsday as the villains. I'm reading from Superman Wiki and the Superman fandom. The premise would have been, so get this, it would have been based off the Death of Superman comics. The storyline, which the main villain would be an alien supercomputer, Brainiac, that had to get rid of Superman by simultaneously blocking out the sun and unleashing Doomsday. The plot works, and Superman is no more. Like later in this movie, he is later resurrected as K in his temporary costume, who acts as a temporary costume and artificially produces all his powers. And it's basically like really crazy how this stuff was like, all the concept art for the movie looks really weird. It would have been like a trip of a movie. It would have been a trip. We're here at the top of the hour, here at WMSC Upper Montclair. We're here at Geekly. We have, to me, we're going back to like Superman Lives, because it's like such an interesting case study. It's like a case study of like a movie that you don't know would have never happened, but it's just so interesting to me. I don't think people understand. This movie is crazy, and I don't think it would have never been made. And to me, that's my general thoughts on the whole thing. And we're going to be back here at WMSC Upper Montclair. We're going to take a quick break and play a song, hopefully. And we'll be back here at WMSC Upper Montclair. And we're back here at WMSC Upper Montclair, New Jersey. We're here at Geekly. Welcome to the geekiest show on the radio. I'm your host, Trevor. Welcome back. It is nice to be back on the free hours. It is really fun so far, even though it's just me by myself and talking to myself. It's still a lot going on. So we're gonna have a really quick news and weather look. And currently it is I'm just pulling up the weather on my phone, and I'll also pull up the news on my phone as well. So it's currently 44 degrees here at WMSC here at Montclair State University, and it feels like 42, and it's cloudy. The high is 47, the low is 30, and tomorrow will be a lovely sunny day out. It will be a high of 55 and a low of 44. It'll be sunny. The rest of the week looks fantastic. The rest of the weekend looks fantastic. 60 degrees. It's back. And we're gonna get into the radio. We're gonna get into the news of the week. The U.S. news. Yeah, there were news. More than just like, typical. But I'm just working on stuff. But obviously, in today's world, there's a lot of news. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to pull up something that's really simple and easy. So a lot of the players. Oh, this is cool. I'm reading from apnews.com. The lottery players seek a 750 million prize, the fourth largest in U.S. history. Des Moines, Iowa. After months without a winner, the lottery players will have another shot at the Powerball jackpot, which has soared to a massive $750 million. The Powerball drawing will be Wednesday night and will be given by a $2 ticket by a chance of winning the fourth largest lottery jackpot in the U.S. history. Yeah, lotteries. Yeah, odds. To me, like, lotteries are very interesting, and they're very different. They're not bad, they're just different. But obviously, we're going to get into the geek news of the week. It was a very slow news week, and also there was not much happening in the world of geek culture and other stuff, but we're going to still get into it because it's the Geek Pulse, and what is going on in the world of geek news. And it was a pretty slow news week, and I think that shows, and that's not a good sign when the news shows that there's not much going on. That's not good. Obviously, you had like a lot of people. Last week we had the news of Bill and Ted Free officially announced for summer 2020. Bill and Ted Free will have the original casting get together, except for George Carlin. Rest in peace, George Carlin. And they said in a Twitter announcement, they said that they're also going to do a tribute to George Carlin's character in the movie, which I think is very nice. But in my head, I don't think a Bill and Ted Free is necessary. It's not necessary. I personally don't like Bill and Ted as much as most people. I know people will be like, "Oh, you don't like Bill and Ted? You're just being you just don't respect it." I'm like, no, I don't. I just don't think it's like it needs a sequel, or it needs anything like that. Like, it doesn't need like another thing. In my head, that's it. But in other news, we had something interesting happen. I know people say to me, like, Trevor, like, do you ever speak about leaked information? I'm like, I have a very big rule with leaked information. I don't exactly talk about it, but at the same time I do, because I really want to talk about this. It's for those who did not know, today Star Wars really messed up. And it's not bad, it's just something that they did, which was they basically leaked a poster that they were not supposed to leak. And if you want to look at it, I don't think it's anywhere right now. But the movie, the poster looks very interesting. I'll just say that. It looks very much like how Last Jedi should have looked. Oh, am I saying that? Yeah, I think to me this is going to be... They actually have the Knights of Ren in the poster, which is interesting. Interesting, actually having the Knights of Ren in a movie where we barely got anything in the second one. Why? But we also have Rey looking more like a Jedi, which is really interesting. For those who do not see the poster and do know, I don't know if these new troopers are... I don't know what's up with these new stormtroopers. I don't know. Like, I don't want to get into it, but to me it looks very interesting. It looks like a very different film. And I think this is going to be the end of a trilogy. We have a new character. We have 2 new characters in the poster. 2 new characters. I know nothing about them. Nothing. This is great. Probably by Star Wars Celebration, which I'll try to be live tweeting during that show. So that'll be fun. I'll be talking. I really want to say, if I think this is what's going to happen in the upcoming weeks, probably during Star Wars Celebration, in Chicago, we're going to get the first trailer and we're going to get that poster. I think this is what's going to happen during the Star Wars Episode 9 panel. We're going to get the first trailer. We're going to get what the movie is actually called, what the movie is actually titled, and we're also going to get a poster. And I think that's what's going to happen in Star Wars Celebration. I think they're going to release more information and possibly a trailer or teaser for Mandalorian. And I personally think this is Star Wars Celebration predictions right now, but I just think we're going to get a lot of stuff that people aren't going to expect. I think we're going to get our first look about what the game Star Wars The Fallen Order is going to be like. We're going to get a first official look at the trailer for Star Wars Episode 9 and probably the title. I think the reason they're holding back on the title is for Star Wars Celebration. That's just me. That's just my opinion. That's just my thoughts. Because I think this is what's going to happen. When Star Wars Celebration rolls around, it's going to be very different. It's going to be very different. And it's not going to be like a typical like thing. But going into that, we're going to obviously have a lot of information to break down when it eventually releases and when it comes out. For those obviously not in the know, the endgame posters celebrated 1 month away from the movie. 1 month. 1 month. 1 month away from endgame coming out. Yesterday they released the posters. They still don't have information about the tickets. I'll get into that right now. So, for those who do not know this, basically the Marvel Avengers Infinity War confirmed which characters survived and which characters did not. And there are some characters that I did not expect survived. I did not. This is all spoiler territory. This is territory that I'm just saying that if you don't want to listen to me anymore, just turn the radio down and just understand this. I'm going to be saying who survived the actual snap of Thanos. This is really interesting. So, obviously, for those who do not know, Peter Parker didn't survive. and I'm gonna read for what I see. We have Tony Stark survived, Captain America, obviously, Thor. We had Pepper Potts. We had Rhodes. I'll get into that for a second. We had. Oi. Oh, it's Alex. It's Alex, everybody. I'm trying to get the door open. Hey, Alex. Hey, buddy. Hello. So we were just talking about Avengers.
I heard.
Yeah.
This seems heavy.
Oh, yeah, it's heavy. Your bag?
Oh, yeah, my bag's heavy, too.
Yeah. I'll turn your mic on.
Carrying 40 pounds in my bag.
Welcome to Geekly again. It's been a while.
Yes, it has been.
It's been a while.
Last week was a very short day,
So-
from what you told me.
Yeah. So, did you see the leaked poster to Star Wars?
Did I? No, I did not. Well, what is this leaked poster you speak of, mister?
So I'll send it to you later, but I'll send it to you right now.
Okay. Yes.
It's
please.
it's basically a poster of all the characters from the new movie of Star Wars Episode 9.
Any new ones? Any new characters, things like that?
2 new ones.
2 new ones. Okay. None of them being Matt Smith.
And new stormtroopers.
None of them being Matt Smith. That's unfortunate.
And new stormtroopers, and actually looking at the Knights of Ren.
Huh. Knights of Ren.
I'm sending it to you right now.
Yes. Por favor.
Yeah, just shut down.
No, I can. The mic is working.
Yeah, the mic is working. I'm just doing stuff. It's just acting weird. But, I just wanted to ask you a question. Can you believe who survived the snap?
Let me guess. Happy?
Pepper,
Valkyrie, obviously.
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie also, yeah. I heard that a while ago. Valkyrie, Wong, and I'm trying to think of the least obvious ones.
Pepper.
Oh, I already said Pepper. I think that's it. Yeah, like in terms of like and like side characters and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you? Is there anything going on in the world of geek culture that you know about?
In terms of geek culture, well,
Yeah.
aside from avenging the fallen,
Yeah. Not much, right?
Pet Sematary is getting like amazing reviews right now.
We'll get into that during Horror Meltdown.
Yeah, that's just something I was like mentioning. Tickets are gonna go on sale for Infinity Wars. No, Endgame next week.
Next week.
Yes.
So
you're the one who told me actually.
Yeah, if you're interested in the Avengers Endgame, tickets might go on sale April 2nd.
Happy birthday to me, and I mean that in a literal sense.
Yes,
I do mean that in a literal sense. April 2nd.
Yes, he's getting birthday gifts. I got him
Yes.
birthday gifts, and it's going to be hilarious. He's going to love it.
Exactly. April 2nd, it's a special day.
Yes, it is a special day. Because,
I can't help it.
Because you...
I was born that day. What can I say?
So we're going to take a quick break here at WMSC Upper Montclair. Geekly, welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
Before you got here, I was getting really passionate about Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Because I just want to run through so I'm doing like a weekly MCU Road to Endgame thing.
All right.
So
1 month.
So before we get into the 80s horror movies, I just want to see what your thoughts on these Marvel movies are. So Captain America: The First Avenger.
All right.
What do you think of it?
I mean, I thought it was all right. It could have been a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like the sequels were the greatest.
Okay. And the Avengers.
The first Avengers movie. That movie was fantastic.
Yes.
I
Like a
have to be
9 out of 10.
honest. Yes, I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Iron Man 3.
It was good, just not as just a little too overrated, in my opinion.
6 out of 10.
I give it like a little higher than that, like 6.5, something like that.
Yeah.
Just because they did some good things, they did some things that were just a little unspeakable.
Yeah, like they did a lot of things that were unspeakable, and obviously we know Captain America: The Winter Soldier is the best.
That is an 11 out of 10. I love it.
It is 11 out of 10. It is an awesome Marvel movie.
I loved it.
So, we're gonna get into 80s horror films because
right.
I really want to talk about this because today is the 80s special.
Yes, it is.
the 80s special.
Why, yes, it is.
Because I just thought it would be really funny to talk about 1980s.
Okay, sir.
And what do you think about, like, overall, like, comparing, like, new, like, 80s horror movies to, like, new movies today?
All right,
Like, my thought is the fact that there's a lot more passion in the 80s horror films.
Well, I have to say, like comparing it to today, it's, like, a little hard. Like, I feel what modern horror movies are doing is that they're not copying the originals anymore.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah, they're not.
But they are they are getting some feedbacks from it, though, at least. They try to ask themselves, what was it that they did that worked in those past movies, and how can we alter but also integrate those things into our modern movies?
Yeah, for those who do not know, I love, for me, like, 80s horror movies just have a lot more passion to them, and have a lot more, like.
And I do believe horror movies nowadays are getting better. Like recently.
Recently.
Like if I were to talk about the mid 2000s,
no.
Then I'm sorry, those were not the best of times.
And obviously, like, to me, like, there's a small scale nature to it.
Yes.
Like with the 80s horror movies, because some of the films were limited by budget.
Oh yeah.
Because
kind of funny how we say like a couple millions are considered to be low budgets.
To me, like that small scaleness made some movies really great, like Evil Dead 2.
Yeah,
like
those movies are good.
Like Evil Dead 2, a bunch of stuff off. Poltergeist.
Poltergeist, yes, that was
like
pretty
that's
good.
A small scale horror movie.
Yes, it is very
and
very
and
small
to me
scale.
like I think those movies are just really should be respected.
Oh, of course.
And they're really respected. And, like, the idea, like, my other favorite thing is, like, you know how, like, in 80s movies you have those kids banding together against, like, the evil?
Like
in It? Like in It and, like, the monster.
No, I have to say the modern It movies is better than the original.
Like the It and, like, the Monster Squad.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's...
Yeah, they always did, like, to make kids involved. I don't know, like, I don't know what turned that into a trend, But, you know, I do find it enjoyable, though, I have to admit.
It's very interesting to get a perspective on, like, a different perspective from
a child's perspective.
From a child's perspective
maybe.
of a horror event.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't really think of it that way. That does sound good.
It's so different.
It is different, yeah.
And to me, like, the most interesting thing is, I want to talk about something. So, obviously, did you know that the director of The Stuff, you know that movie, The Stuff? The director recently passed away.
I know, yes.
And
I've seen that on social media. It is unfortunate, yeah.
For those who do not know, The Stuff is a 1980s horror movie, which is kind of like The Blob, but more like about this consumption of like this gooey substance that's called the stuff. And it's like highly addictive, and it's like all this stuff.
Yeah, it was made back in like 1980s, right?
Back in 1980s, and it was a really interesting movie, and it had like a lot of passion behind it, even though it was a very small scale movie.
Yeah, I mean it was good. It was kind of like a small scale. I like to compare it more to like maybe The Thing.
Yeah.
You know, the 1980s Thing. I like to compare it a little bit to that. It was like kind of as like maybe as graphic as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was very.
Like that's kind of what really got people like a little uncomfortable. It's just the graphics and special effects that they used, even though they were limited back then. You know?
Yeah.
It's like it's like on par with The Thing. All right.
Yeah, but for me, like, I love talking about one of my favorite underrated horror movies, which is Return of the Living Dead.
Yes, that is true.
It's so underrated, right?
I would say so. It was good. It was good. It was like a good. It was like
punk,
a start.
Punk zombie movie.
It's really old. You know, I feel it was hard to make horror movies back in like those times, but
to me, like, when you want like to give Return of the Living Dead has probably the best punk rock soundtrack. Probably one of the best zombie soundtracks ever.
That was pretty good.
Like Punk 45, Party 45, like a lot of good bands that were punk based did the soundtrack, and it made the movie so much more interesting.
It makes me wonder how it would be like in modern day.
Like if
they were to keep that kind of style.
I feel like you would have bands like more like indie rock bands.
Maybe, yeah.
Like Royal Blood.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I could see them doing the sound.
I feel you on that, yeah.
Like because Royal Blood can do it, probably the Black Keys. You could have a lot of good bands do that soundtrack.
That is true, yes.
Like it would be a really interesting movie to remake.
Oh, I agree.
Like it would be like so different because then you can make fun of the fact that Return of the Living Dead was a sort of spiritual successor to Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also harp on the fact that Return of the Living Dead is a sort of Return of the Living Dead Returns. Like I would call it Return of the Living Dead.
It was a little bit funny though, like, sometimes whenever I watch it, cause you have these you're really surrounded by characters in there that really don't know what in the world they're doing.
I know, and that's what's more interesting about the movie.
Like it makes me want to laugh a little bit. I don't know why.
Yeah, to me, like the movie Return of the Living Dead is just it's like one of those movies that needs a remake.
Yeah,
because
maybe
it's not
just not the Zack Snyder remake.
No, I feel like the best director for it would probably be somebody like Jordan Vogt Roberts.
What did he make?
Kong Skull Island.
Okay, that's interesting.
Like he would be an interesting choice.
Yeah, that would be an interesting choice.
Because
that is pretty interesting.
Because it's just like he could do it because I think like he likes a lot of music. He likes a lot of music, or like James Gunn.
Huh.
Like, James Gunn would be so interesting.
I feel he might have potential, but I like your first option a bit more.
Yeah, Jordan Vogt Roberts.
Kong Skull Island. I like that more.
Yeah, like, to me, like, I think, like, a movie like that would need somebody who respects music a lot and, like, really wants some obscure stuff on there.
Yeah.
Like, you could expect, like, a lot of but I would if I were doing the movie, I would call it Return of the Living Dead Returns.
That's a funny title.
Because I just think it's a whole funny thing, like to call it Return of the Living Dead Returns.
Returns. Okay.
And it would just have like spray painted like over like a.
They returned. Or something along those lines.
Like I would just, and then people would be like, oh, it's gonna be like a very cheesy movie, and I'm like, it's gonna be. You never know. You never know, but it's just like how I would do it is like very funny at times, but very. Like Ian could pull off Return of the Living Dead.
I know where he is now. He's in a colloquium event at this moment. Yeah. I bumped into him on my way over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably like it. I mean, he is a big fan of like the classic horror movies.
And like to me,
specifically more like with like Frankenstein, Dracula, those kind of things.
And also one of my favorites. I don't know if I can say the full title, but Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh yeah, those jokers.
Those jokers. If you don't know that movie, the movie is just an insanely midnight movie.
Yes.
I can't say. I don't know if I can say the full title.
I'm just gonna call it K.I.
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 From Outer Space.
Clowns from outer space. K.O.
Basically, I think next week we're gonna get more information about Halloween Horror Nights, which we'll talk about next week.
And when is that new horror movie, Pet Sematary, coming out anyway?
April 4th next week.
Oh man, there's too much going on. Okay.
It's basically during your film shoot. Yes, it is.
It's there's too much going on. Oh yeah. My God. Okay.
So like basically like in my head, like I just think it's so cool that we're getting like these sort of remakes that are just going back to what made the movie work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just like, I'm interested in Pet Sematary, but if it does the movie, if it does what's spoiled in the trailer.
Oh man, I honestly I didn't even think that the trailer would even do that much.
Because
would reveal that much.
But
I'm like seriously, they kind of just revealed. I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
They revealed like more than 50% of the movie, and that's like really bad when you do that. That's like really bad, a bad number.
And doesn't like the guy from like Terminator Genesis, isn't he in the movie?
Which guy? Oh yeah. No, I know you're talking about that.
Yeah.
I know you mean.
Yeah.
I know his name in the back of my head.
I know, and it's like bugging you. And it's just like
it's Clark something. Clark is somewhere in that name.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. I believe he's the main character. The main antagonist maybe of the movie.
We can't say.
I think I'm pretty sure it's the antagonist.
So
because the trailer just said that much.
I just want to say something. I want to talk about one of our least favorite 80s horror movies.
All right.
Which is Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, that is you know what? Yeah, I agree. Huh.
It's like, for those who've never seen it, it's like not even like an interesting like film.
That's true.
It hides behind a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that it's like Iron Man 3 level where it's just like it doesn't understand what's wrong with it.
Another movie that I find a little too overrated in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it's good, but just overrated is the first Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, it
that was
has
the 80s, right?
It's early. Yes and no.
Was it? I'm looking it up.
You're gonna look it up. For those who do not know, the first Evil Dead movie is okay. It doesn't. It's not.
Okay,
it's not like.
No, I'm right. It's 1981. I'm right. I'm correct.
So basically, to give people context, basically the Evil Dead, the first Evil Dead movie, it's not even like. It's like a student film almost, right?
Almost, yeah. I could almost see it as like a student film in a way, but like it just felt like a little. Not only did it feel a little cheap, but it also felt like
very rushed.
Not even that. It was just like it just felt like not much happened. Like it was like somewhere in the middle. There was like 20, maybe 30 minutes of nothing happening.
Nothing.
It just happened in the middle, though.
Mhm.
All right.
So we're going to take a quick break here at WMC Upper Montclair, and we'll be back. And we're back here at Geekly. Welcome back.
Hello.
And we're going to go into the horror meltdown. I just want to say something. I just want to, like, did you hear the news last week on Twitter about the alien, the North Bergen High School?
Yes, I do.
For those who do not know, the North Bergen High School did a version of Alien, the play. And it's what was 100% recycled materials, and I love it, and it's just so.
I kind of wish I had seen it.
I kind of wish I had seen it too, because I wish I had known about it.
I wish I had known about it on time, yeah.
Because I would have gone.
Just because, like, too much going on in these past couple of weeks. I'm, like, finding everything out, like, late, you know?
Yeah.
I'm finding everything out late just because, you know, too much going on.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It's like crazy to think that, that we have, like...
It is crazy, though. Hearing about an alien play, I'm like...
I know, and, like, in New Jersey...
How often do you see that?
You don't see that often.
Probably
you don't.
Probably hard next to never, I want to say.
You see that next to never, and that's the crazy thing is, for, I think it got a shout-out from the official Alien Twitter website.
Really?
The official Alien Twitter page.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay.
And to me, that shows like, hey, we respect this.
That's good.
Like, I don't think Disney would have, like, if Disney knew earlier.
Disney doesn't really do horror movies, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you know, Disney's becoming a monopoly in itself at this point, you know?
Obviously, we have to talk about, the horror meltdown. And that was, like, one of the coolest pieces of news, like, that happened, like, this week, right? That was so cool, right?
What, the
alien play?
The alien play? Yeah. That was,
Like, to me, like, I would love to talk to one of those, anybody from that play, because it would be so interesting to, like...
I'd like to do that, too, you know, talk to them.
Because just to me, like...
have a brief conversation, those kind of things.
Like, to me, like, I would... If anyone from North Bergen High School Drama Club is interested... I don't want to say anything, but to me, like, it's such as a person who was in theater for a little bit, it's hard to get those plays. Like, it's hard. I think they did I think this is what I think they did. They gave the school board a different play than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they just said, we're going to do this play, but we're not.
I see, yeah.
I think they did that.
You know, I believe you, yeah.
I think if I was them, I would have given them, the school board, a different play and said, we're doing this, and would have come up with the funds on our own for the alien play.
I mean, yeah, you know, it's that's like a good tribute right there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I heard of a play for like Planet of the Apes once. That was like that. I never seen it myself, but I heard that. I met a person that told me that they went to one of those.
Are you sure they're talking about the Simpsons episode?
I don't think so. No.
Like, have you heard that?
I don't think so, because I was talking to an adult.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But the Simpsons, Simpsons episode was also like during the late 90s.
Was it? Huh. I don't know about that, but okay.
I don't know.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'm not really a Simpsons fan. Just 'cause, oh man, that's been going on since forever.
Yeah, it's like
1989. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're right. It's been going on for too long.
Yes. Same goes for Family Guy.
And it's like...
Try, Mac. Dr. Sayus, Dr. Sayus.
Isn't this so silly?
It is, yeah.
Dr. Sayus.
I just wanted to pull that up because it's just so silly.
That is quite silly.
But to me, like, in other horror news, we had the
the most recent movie, Us. I'm hearing fantastic things about it.
No, not that yet. Not that yet. Chill. Zoe Lister Jones writing, directing the Craft reboot for Blumhouse and Columbia Pictures. That's gonna happen, so we don't know when that's gonna be shot or when that's gonna be starting production, but we know that Blumhouse is starting to put together female directors to direct a big budget horror movie.
Yeah, they're really taking a huge leap on these, and I like that.
And I like that too. I think that's a very good thing for them to do. I think it's a very respectful thing to do, and it's just, to me, it says that we understand that the horror movie format is changing, and we kind of need to change with the times.
Of course.
And hopefully next week we're gonna have some more. We're gonna have information about Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando and Hollywood.
Oh yeah, hopefully.
Because I read on Twitter that they're going to Monsterpalooza or something like that.
Ooh.
Or like I think it's like a convention, a horror convention, where they're gonna officially announce like mazes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For those who do not know, Halloween Horror Nights, we like talking about Halloween Horror Nights off radio.
Of course, yeah.
Because this is, to me, like, even though I would never go into a haunted house, there would be so much money that you would have to pay me to get into one. You know that.
I know that, but yeah.
I just like talking about it. To me, it's so interesting.
Of course.
Like, it's not bad. I just love talking about, like, I would never go into a haunted house. I know, would you?
I mean, maybe. Just maybe. Is it like, am I insured to be coming back alive?
Yeah.
I mean, then I would go in.
I just have the, I have, like, I don't like being scared.
I know, but if it was, like, a legitimate haunted house where there was, like,
I don't want to go into a haunted house where people are touching me.
Where there are like Larsons and things like that, then I wouldn't want to go in.
No, like this is my thing. I don't want people touching me.
That is a very inappropriate thing to even mention, Mr. Joya, in the radio station.
Sorry. Basically, Pat's here. Hey, Pat. What are you doing?
I'm currently being locked out of the studio because they're having an SMT meeting.
Oh, they're having an SMT meeting?
Yeah, and I left my stuff in there, so
I
was just going to come sit in here.
Welcome to Geekly.
Oh,
hello.
Sweet.
Hey, you're officially a guest now.
Yay.
You're officially a guest.
Why not?
So,
until 4 o'clock.
We were talking about the reboot of the Blumhouse Craft reboot.
Oh.
Yeah. They're getting a female director to direct it.
Okay.
And write and direct it.
I got both eyes on them for what they're going to do to my favorite indie game series.
Which is what?
Five Nights.
Five Nights? I've heard...
I got both eyes, man.
That's good.
Looking down.
You know how, like,
Blumhouse
can do things, but just, to me, it's just, like, Blumhouse needs to, like, make it appealing enough to different audiences.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, there's also that tiny issue of there's never been a good video game movie. So
Oh, that is a huge issue.
We might might be a bigger problem.
That might be a bigger problem. But
yeah, no. I was enjoying the haunted house talk. I actually worked in one for a little bit.
To me, like, I'm just one of those people who's like has that fast like reflexes.
Yeah.
Anybody touches me, they're just I'm just like no.
Now that was only on Thursdays they did that.
They did a Halloween Horror Night on Thursday?
Where did you work?
I worked at Brighton.
Brighton?
For one night. Because a friend of a friend worked there, and they were sick or something, and they had to miss a night of work, so they're like, we need somebody else. And me and my boyfriend are like, okay, sure. And we did it, and it was awesome, but Yeah, it was really cool.
So what is it like working at a haunted house?
It's kind of a similar vibe if you've ever been in a play. Think about that, except it lasts for like a full work shift.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because like you get like a quick rundown of like the backstage and how like, you know, if there's an emergency, how to get out and whatever, and then like there's a whole like makeup department where everybody goes and gets like done up for their role.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. And then my prop broke, so we had to fix that.
Oh boy.
But it was fun. It was like we kind of didn't realize how long the shift would be. So we were all like starving by the time we got out because we got out at like midnight, 1 a.m.
No.
We didn't have dinner before. Like, yeah, it'll only be a couple hours. It'll be fine.
Yeah, you know, I've gotten myself into those kind of situations before.
It's like
someone promises you like 2 hours, and that turns into 5.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's just, but I mean, if we had prepared better, it would have been amazing. But
oh, I bet.
Yeah, it would have been amazing.
Maybe nonetheless, it still turned out amazing. You know, you never know.
Like, do you is it very different when you're on the other side of it?
Yeah, it's you're an actor at that point. You're like, you know, you're doing your thing, and you kind of gotta you gotta be aware because everything's blacked out. But
do you have to just hold back laughter sometimes?
Yeah.
because I just think that with some when you walk past and like you get the biggest scare out of somebody.
Oh, somebody hit the wall for me. It was great. They bounced off the wall. All right, so full disclosure, here's where I ended up.
Yeah.
There's a tunnel.
Yeah.
And it's like the walls are like inflated, so you can't see. It's like 2 balloons, and you have to like fight through the center of it. And then there's a turn, and there's a jail cell, which is where yours truly was.
Yeah.
I had a clown mask. I looked like a Slipknot reject because I had a clown mask on. My eyes were, the only makeup I had was my eyes were blacked out. Mm-hmm. And I had like a hospital outfit on. And then I had a fake chainsaw, which was a chainsaw. Like
I don't find fake chainsaws these days. Wow.
They're hard to come by.
They take out the blades, right?
Well, yeah. One guy,
I'm pretty sure, it's fake, so they have no.
There
blades.
was the one guy at the end. They took the blade off, and it was just the engine, and he would chase people around. But mine didn't have that. Mine was just. I mean, it was all dark, so you couldn't really see. It was just the handle, and it was a steel bar.
Oh yeah.
So here's what we did. Right, this was fun, and this was the part that kept breaking before, but it lasted all night, so no complaints. We had a car battery.
Yeah.
Hidden under because, you know, it was like the jail cell, there's like the bars and then the bottom of the wall. We had a car battery there. And we took one end of the battery and ran it to the metal bar coming out of my fake chainsaw.
Oh.
We took the other end of the battery and hooked it up to the jail bars, and there was like a mesh going across. So when I would swing at people coming by, it would spark like it was a chainsaw. Oh, God. Like it was a chainsaw hitting like, you know, metal bars. It would like shower sparks.
Yeah.
And it would make a lot of noise.
That sounds fun.
It was a lot of fun for me.
It sounds a lot of fun. It does.
I kind of wish I was there now.
And then,
even though I didn't know you back then.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend Sean got roped in as well. He was in this like camo suit. It was like white, like, you know when it's like that real stringy camouflage that like they use in the jungle and stuff.
The ghillie suit.
Yeah, ghillie suit. That's it.
The ghillie suit.
But it was white. But what made him scary was the fact that he screamed at every single person, and the fact that he was in this big, long hallway. Yeah. It was all covered in that material.
Oh.
So he would literally just blend into the wall.
Yeah.
And then, like, pop out at some people that were coming past. It was awesome. His voice was gone by the end of the night.
Like to me, like, that's really fun, because
it's so much more fun to be on that side.
I've always thought about, like, one of the things that I really want to do is just, if I ever open a haunted house, it'd be like the first half minute, the first hour would be like all ambience and no scares, and then like the last 20 minutes of the thing will be just pure scares one after another.
The sequencing. I mean, I didn't go through it while it was open. You could never get me to do that.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Like, I could scare people. I can't be I can't be in that situation of going into
Never.
haunted house because I can't even go into like Halloween Horror Nights because I'm like so scared of
never.
Never.
There was like they had a couple people that they were like the MCs kind of.
Yeah.
But they were like dressed up as like hotel people, very Tower of Terror vibes.
Yeah.
And their job was to kind of, without being too obvious about it, sequence the guests going in.
Yeah.
Because if you have a huge group, like, you can't scare everybody. You either scare the people at the beginning, the middle, or the end, but like, somebody's not going to get jump scared if you got a giant train of people, you know? So it was their job to like chop it up and make sure there were like tiny groups, but.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break here at WMSC Upper
Sure
Montclair.
All right.
And we'll be back with more horror news and more.
Do you like movies? Do you like music? Do you like movie music? Then listen to The Underscore, where we go from old favorites to modern classics, from famous soundtracks to epic scores. Wednesdays at 10 p.m., only on 90.3 WMSC.
And we're back here at Geekly. Welcome back here at WMSC Upper Montclair. That was a really quick break, and I got a little bit confused.
You got some Whitney Houston in there.
You got some Whitney Houston in there.
Yeah.
I was showing Alex that the Star Wars accidentally leaked a poster.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
It was for real? It's not like
for real.
Okay.
For real.
It's not
Look.
fake. Show me it. Show me it. Why are you showing it to him first? How dare you?
I'm gonna look that up
Like,
too. Hang on.
So the I'm just showing him the Star Wars leaked poster, and Alex is now wearing sunglasses in the studio.
Holy. They're prescribed, okay?
Spelled poster wrong.
They
All
are
right, we're good.
prescribed.
We're good.
I needed them.
It's a cool poster.
Nobody's making fun of you. I'm just joking around. I'm just joshing you.
Yeah.
I'm just joshing you. But I
They're
want
making
to
a remake of Drake and Josh. Go on.
But what do you think of it, Pat? I know you're not saying much, but
All right.
It looks.
Let me tell you what I like.
Yes.
Like most of it, actually. I like these. Are those like supposed to be the Knights of Ren on the left?
Yeah, those are supposed to be the Knights of Ren.
Okay.
We could get the final.
I see it.
We could get We could finally get what the Knights of Ren actually are.
I want to know what that thing behind Finn is.
Oh, Finn. You know what? Yeah, that is a good question.
I think it's just.
Why is that there?
I was almost thinking, is that another iteration of Jar Jar?
That's the vibes I get, and I don't like it.
A Gungan. I don't want a Gungan.
Nobody wants another Gungan in another Star Wars movie.
We reject.
But yeah, the Knights of Ren.
We reject Gungan and substitute our own.
And all its works.
And all its works.
You know, I mean, since this is the last movie,
I just want to point something out first. Do you notice that C-3PO has a bowcaster?
Yeah, I don't trust him with that. He's strapped. I don't trust him with a gun bigger than. Who is that behind Chewbacca?
It's a new character. We have 2 new characters.
Okay, I hope Rose doesn't. They didn't, get bullied into cutting Rose out of this.
I mean, I kind of hope that they did cut her out of it because I didn't.
Do you notice
like her.
how the new stormtroopers on the bottom
are
like
them.
all red?
Are they red because that's their color, or is that the glow off his lightsaber?
I'm pretty sure it's a blow of the lightsaber.
No,
actually.
it's red.
I don't think so because I'm looking. It's
no, it doesn't change. Look to the back. It doesn't. It's all the same red.
Are you sure? Right. I don't think so. Are you talking about the bottom right?
Yeah.
No, the bottom row.
The bottom row.
Yeah, the bottom row.
You're talking about this right here?
No.
Yeah.
No. Wait.
We're trying to figure out like. What...
The picture he had the bottom cropped off.
Yeah. All right.
And obviously,
I need to find that.
I think they're gonna have they're gonna have an old character.
I found it.
They're gonna have an old character come back.
Ooh,
Phasma?
No.
There's no way Phasma's
No,
dead.
you wanna know who's coming back?
Who's coming back?
Lando.
Okay.
Oh, right. He's still somewhere.
Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian's back.
You know, I'm not surprised. Okay.
And just to me, like, the movie, it looks.
He has a crossbow.
It looks
good.
It looks interesting. It looks like it could be. I'm very hopeful. Dangerously optimistic.
I mean,
That's the best word.
Cautiously
optimistic.
I mean, at least Ryan Johnson isn't our director for this, so we're good.
Yeah,
you're right.
I'm firmly of the school of thought that Last Jedi was not that bad.
It wasn't, but it did not meet expectations.
It just suffered from pacing problems.
No, not even that. It's not even pacing problems.
It was in a no-win situation. You could never make.
It wasn't even pacing problems.
It was just
it wasn't pacing problems. It was just Ryan Johnson being like I don't know, just overthinking the living daylights out of Star Wars.
There were problems with it. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie, but I think the internet kind of hive-minded it.
Yeah, maybe.
Then we started harassing real people about a science fiction story until they have to delete their social media. So.
So obviously the next piece of news is
that's how to handle the situation.
So the next piece of horror news is the audience tethered together to make a massive 70 million opening for Us.
Oh right, have you seen that yet?
I need to see
it. Yet?
It's out.
Oh.
It's out.
And I've been seeing people Snapchat saying going to watch Us. Oh, Us was great. They're making faint references of Us, and I'm just like, stop rubbing it in. I need to see that movie.
I'm just gonna go see it at Riverside.
I haven't seen Get Out yet, so.
Get Out is
really?
Get Out is like
it's a good movie.
It's a good horror movie. It's not like
it's a really good horror movie. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like kind of faces how modern discrimination can be.
Yeah, I saw a lot of like bits and pieces of it, and that was cool. I just haven't seen it.
It's like it has like this racial discrimination, but like it's more modern.
Yeah,
and I like it.
This one reminds me a little bit more of like a clone movie. I don't know why.
I'm like hoping that Us is like almost the same way, just because we don't have that many movies like that.
It probably will be. I mean, Jordan Peele's in the driver's seat.
I know he is.
I know he is. And then like obviously Apple announced all their TV stuff.
Did
you see?
I try to tune that out. You're gonna have to bring me up to speed on that.
So basically,
doesn't Disney like own like a small portion of
Oh,
Apple?
this is hilarious. So basically, like Apple's like, we have to compete with Netflix and Amazon and Hulu. I'm like, you guys are way beyond. You're way behind.
Yeah,
you guys are so behind.
I have to admit though, some of the Netflix shows like End of the World is quite good. I'm not saying the full title.
Netflix has it locked up, man.
Netflix, I think to me like has a few problems here and there.
Oh, they're not perfect.
They're not perfect at all. No, but
like it's a little late to be like, we're gonna do that.
It's a little late to do that, and they're having Steven Spielberg do like an Amazing Stories reboot.
Yeah, I know. Like seriously, I mean,
which I'm like.
But some of their original
I know
shows,
that was my
though,
same reaction, where it's just like, oh boy.
Though I can't wait for Dark Season 2. I'm like, seriously, when is that even coming? I'm looking that up now.
It's coming out in the summer.
Oh my goodness!
Did you ever hear that show?
What?
It's like Dark is a German Netflix.
It's a German
series.
Netflix series, yeah.
It's like how Stranger Things season 2 should have been like.
I've never watched Stranger Things. Don't worry. I never watched Stranger Things. Never watched Game of Thrones. I'm like,
what?
Alex is gonna hold back every single